Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and this is currently our Huddlesfield Town versus Manchester United preview. Obviously Manchester United, of course, have got two games remaining. Obviously this one on Sunday at the John Smith Stadium, and obviously the last game against Cardiff is at Old Trafford as well. Looking at it, ultimately, these are two games Manchester United should win comfortably, because obviously Huddersfield are very, very poor, Cardiff are very, very poor. Huddersfield, of course, are relegated. They've only gained 14 points this season. Obviously Huddersfield came up last season to the top flight for the first time in like 45 years. But looking at these two remaining games, they are meaningless for Manchester United, and basically, we are going to be playing for pride. Obviously, we're not going to be, we're not going to get the top four. We're not in the Champions League. We're not in no FA Cup route. So potentially, we are going to be playing for pride. So maybe these are the games where we've got to give the youngsters the opportunity and drop the problematic players. So I'll give you a bit of team news now. Going ahead into the game. We do know that we've heard quite a few Manchester United fans basically saying that David De Gea should be dropped for these two remaining games, based on his costly errors he has been making, and a few fans have said we should put Sergio Romero into contention for these two remaining games. And I don't know if Sergio Romero, to be quite honest with you, is reliable enough to become our number one goalkeeper. Romero, I analysed his performances earlier on in the season, when he was participating in them FA Cup games, and he was quite impressive with Sergio Romero. But I think it will be De Gea, featuring him in these two remaining games, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got no intentions of dropping him, even though he has been making quite a few mistakes recently. And why has David De Gea been making these mistakes? Is it something to do with a contract issue? Doesn't he want to be at Manchester United anymore, David De Gea? I'm not too sure. Maybe David De Gea, a goalkeeper of his calibre, wants to be playing to the highest level, wants to be up there challenging, and wants to be up there winning trophies, does De Gea. But David De Gea, based on his recent mistakes he has been making, he's still potentially one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I've admired his fantastic career so far with Manchester United. Of course, this is now I think it's his 8th season now at Manchester United. He's won everything domestically. He's won the club's player of the year, 4 times out of the last 5 years as David De Gea. But we do basically know that the likes of PSG have been interested in him. We do know that Real Madrid have been long admirers of David De Gea. Reports were coming out the other day saying that PSG were reportedly willing to offer him a £450,000 a week contract. That's actually more than double of what he's currently on at the moment with Manchester United, because in his current deal at the moment with Manchester United, he's on about £200,000 a week, is David De Gea. And obviously we know that Real Madrid were on the brink of getting him in 2015. But potentially, Manchester United have been in negotiations of trying to get David De Gea a new contract, as I said. I think it did say Man United were willing to offer him around £300,000 a week, but I think David De Gea is demanding that he wants around £350,000 a week, if he's to remain loyal to the club, and if he's to sign a new contract term as well. But if we can't come to an agreement to get him a new contract, obviously, the club would want to cash in for David De Gea this summer, rather than letting go on a free transfer in the summer of 2020. So, yeah, I still think David De Gea, will be playing in these two remaining games. A bit of news has come out about Antonio Valencia as well. I do want to give you guys an update on. Basically, I think he's just recovered from a calf injury as Antonio Valencia. He's just recently had a calf injury as Valencia. Now he has returned back to training. There has been quite a few media reports saying that he could participate in these two remaining games, could Valencia, because obviously he's one of the players that's leaving Manchester United this summer when his contract term expires, because obviously Manchester United opted against the decision, to trigger that new 1-year extension on his current contract. But Antonio Valencia, as I did say, he's been a great servant to the club, don't get me wrong. He's been here 10 years, he's made over 300 appearances in all competitions, of course, and I don't think he's played since New Year's Day, was it, against Newcastle, if I'm right. I think that's the last game Antonio Valencia played, because obviously, he's been out with a calf injury. But as I said, he's been a great servant to the club. He's won everything here domestically. He won the Samat Busby Player of the Year award, back in 2012. So these reports saying that he could feature in these two remaining games. For me, definitely Ashley Young definitely needs to be dropped as well, because Ashley Young is a big problem indeed, and I think it was bad business from the club, giving Ashley Young that new 1-year extension. Again, he's been a great servant to the club as Ashley Young. He's grown, developed and flourished fantastically well. He's been at Manchester United now, 8 years as Ashley Young. He has made over 300 odd appearances in all competitions. But as I did say now, he's past his sell-by date. He's 33, he's nearly 34. By the time his new 1-year extension expires, Ashley Young, will be nearly 35 years of age. And for me, he gets exploited far too easily. He's too easily predictable. So definitely, Ashley Young, needs to be dropped for these two remaining games. So for me, I would put put Diego Dalot at that right back position. Diego Dalot, I think we got him last summer for around £19 million from Porto. He is still in the process of developing as Diego Dalot, don't get me wrong, but obviously, he's still very, very young. He's got a lot of years ahead of him, to grow and develop as Diego Dalot. So yeah, I'd definitely, play Diego Dalot in these 2 remaining games ahead of Ashley Young. So that's who I'd go with. In centre-back partnership, it should be Victor Lindelof and Chris Smalling, who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's actually, been mainly going with anywhere, because obviously, Eric Bailly, of course, is injured. Eric Bailly actually, came off in the Chelsea game because he sustained another injury, but initially before that, he'd just recovered from a head injury with Eric Bailly. But I think Eric Bailly, needs to probably, leave this summer, to be quite honest with you. Eric Bailly, he's found game time very, very difficult this season. For me, he's too injury prone, is Eric Bailly. Even though I like Eric Bailly a lot, he's got great potential, but Solskjaer has preferred the likes of Smalling and Phil Jones ahead of Eric Bailly as well. So I definitely think, Eric Bailly, probably he should be leaving the club this summer. I think he's sustained a knee injury or something like that. But yeah, he's currently injured is Eric Bailly. I think Phil Jones is still out with a knee injury. Is Phil Jones. Phil Jones is no longer good enough, to represent Manchester United, and he's one of the players that's got to leave in the summer. This is what Phil Jones now, is it his 8th season now at Manchester United, Phil Jones, sometimes he can be good when he gets them run of games. He has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player as Phil Jones. It was bad business from the club, giving him that new long-term contract as well. We shouldn't have given him that new long-term contract, Phil Jones, and that was a mistake Manchester United did. So that was bad business from Manchester United. So I think Jones is still out. So it will be Lindelof and Smalling as a centre-back partnership. Luke Shaw at left-back, because obviously, Luke Shaw is our first-choice left-back, and I like Luke Shaw a lot. He's really, really settled into the team, and I think he's very, very reliable on that left-hand side. And when I did say we need to strengthen up in the summer, I think the left-hand side, the left-hand side, I think it's okay as that left-hand side, because Luke Shaw's reliable. He's got the ability to play out from the back. He makes them overlapping runs, does Luke Shaw. So I think on that left-hand side, we are okay. But in the midfield, I think he'll go with Pogba. I think he'll probably go with Pogba, Herrera and Fred, or he'll go with Pogba, Herrera and Matic, which is actually Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first-choice midfield trio. And he went with Pogba, Herrera and Matic against Chelsea, and as I did say, that's his first-choice midfield trio. But obviously, more, quite recently, he hasn't been really going with that first-choice midfield trio, because obviously, with the injuries Manchester United have had, so Solskjaer's basically, had to rotate it. So I probably do presume it probably will be Pogba, Herrera and Fred, to be quite honest, because for me, I think Fred is a much better solution, than Nemanja Matic. And, I don't know if Fred is a long-term solution. I know Fred didn't play against Chelsea, but prior to the Chelsea game, in his other recent games, he has really stepped up to the plate as Fred. And I don't know if he's a long-term solution. I don't know if he's got the capabilities, to graduate Manchester United to that level, but he has really, really stepped up to the plate. And I have been known for criticising Fred, don't get me wrong, but I think he's probably more mobile and better on the ball than Nemanja Matic. And I think, Nemanja Matic, needs to leave Manchester United this summer, because I think Nemanja Matic is very, very ineffective indeed. He's aging up, he's too slow. I've got strong reservations about him. So yeah, I would prefer Fred over Nemanja Matic, to be quite honest with you. And I think we need a centre defensive mid, that's fast and tenacious as well. So yeah, Fred would be a better option than Nemanja Matic, and of course Pogba and Herrera. Maybe Martino may get another chance as well, Juan Mata, because I thought Juan Mata, was very, very impressive against Chelsea. I know Juan Mata isn't really now getting into the team much, but he did well against Chelsea, got his name on the score sheet. Juan Mata's just turned 31 years of age. He's one of the likely players that's going to leave Manchester United this summer when his contract term expires. But don't get me wrong, Juan Mata's been a good servant to Manchester United, and this is Juan Mata's 5th season now at the club. He has made over 200 odd appearances in all competitions as Mata, but he's no longer playing to the highest level, and Juan Mata has lost that yard of pace, to be quite honest with you. But I think it did say in the media that he's in. I think Barcelona have been in talks of getting him on a free transfer at the end of the season. Juan Mata is on around £170,000 a week, but reports were saying that Juan Mata would reportedly have to I think he'd have to take a pay cut on his £170,000 a week wages if he is to make the move to Barcelona this summer. But I think Juan Mata, we've had his years out of him. He's got a good pedigree in the Premier League, all in all. But he had a lot of experience of playing in Spain, when he was young, with Real Madrid, and Valencia and all that. So I think he would, want to make a return to Spain, would Juan Mata. But I think he could get given the opportunity in this game against Huddersfield. Marcus Rashford reportedly has suffered a shoulder injury, so he had to come off against Chelsea. Did Marcus Rashford? For me, well, he's not reliable enough. And let's be honest, at the moment, the majority of this Manchester United squad isn't reliable enough. Marcus Rashford, I wouldn't select Marcus Rashford. I'd definitely drop Marcus Rashford because he has sustained quite a few injuries, and I think it's taken its toll on him, and it's had a bad effect on his game, Marcus Rashford. And I think he's still in the process of developing his Marcus Rashford, and it could take him at least maybe 2-3 years, to graduate to that level. And he's got immense talent. He's still very, very young. He's only 21 years of age. He's progressing up the Manchester United youth system very, very well. And I think he's been in United played since the age of 7 or 8 year old, but he's progressing up the ranks fantastically well. He's been in the senior squad of us since 2016 as Rashford. But for me, he needs a reality check, and the majority of this squad, Manchester United squad, needs a reality check as well. But Rashford's been underperforming at least for the last couple of months now, so potentially, I wouldn't select him. But he has currently got a shoulder injury reportedly as well. So a lot of people are saying, we should, give Mason Greenwood the opportunity. And for me, we should give Mason Greenwood the opportunity because he's been very, very impressive for the reserves indeed as Mason Greenwood. So I probably, would select Mason Greenwood. Anthony Martial, I think he will play in this game as well, because Anthony Martial's been very, very poor in the last couple of months, for Manchester United. He didn't play against Chelsea. He was on the bench, but he was an unused substitute. Martial's still very, very young, is Anthony Martial, and he was in really, really good form earlier on in the season was Martial, but at least in the last couple of months, he's failed to replicate that form, Anthony Martial. So it could be possibly Martial and Mason Greenwood up front against Huddlesfield as well. So that's my predicted 11 for this game as well. I don't think Jesse Lingard, will be selected. Jesse Lingard, for me, he's supposed to know what it's all about, Jesse Lingard, and at least in the last couple of months, his performances have been way below par as well of Jesse Lingard, and he's progressed up the Manchester United youth system, very, very well as Jesse Lingard. Don't get me wrong, and we know what he can be capable of on that right hand side, but in the last couple of months, he's been very, very poor indeed. But I still think the likes of Lingard, Martial, and Rashford, they are the long term solution, but they are the short term problem at the moment, based on their poor run of performances. But we'll talk a little bit about Paul Pogba now. Paul Pogba, I don't think he had a bad game against Chelsea, Paul Pogba. But, prior to the Chelsea game, in his last 6 or 7 games prior to the Chelsea game, his performances have been way below par, Paul Pogba's. And I think that just emphasises that he doesn't want to be at Manchester United anymore. And we do know that, obviously, Paul Pogba is heavily linked with a move to Real Madrid. Reports were coming out the other day saying that Paul Pogba has reportedly, got to take a pay cut if he wants to make the move to Real Madrid this summer, as Real Madrid are reportedly not willing to meet his Real Madrid are not willing to meet his current £290,000 a week wages, reportedly. So Paul Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid, was it about 2, 3, 4 weeks ago? He was talking a lot about them, about his dream, to play for Real Madrid as well, Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba, of course, has still got over 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United, with an option of a further year. I think Manchester United have been in talks of getting Paul Pogba a new contract, but I think Paul Pogba wants to make the move to Madrid this summer, because I think Paul Pogba wants to play to the highest level, and a player of Paul Pogba's calibre, wants to be up there challenging and winning trophies. And I think at Manchester United, he's not playing a monster world-class players, he's Pogba. And, Paul Pogba, I think if we can sell him this summer, though, I think it will help us with our transition, because we can get around at least 120 or 130 million pounds for him. Obviously, we do know that Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of Paul Pogba. There are other reports coming out the other week. Well, there's still been a lot of news circulating around the media saying that his former club, Juventus, are still interested in him. Juventus have had negotiations with his agent Raiola. It did say Juventus would have to offload a couple of their players, to be able to fund the move for Pogba as well. So yeah, it's still saying his former club Juventus are interested. And obviously, he did have 4 great years with Juventus before he actually, made a return to Manchester United, because obviously Manchester United paid £89 million for him. Obviously, as well, the reports coming out the other week saying that Manchester United were reportedly willing to offer Paul Pogba the captain's armband, to convince him to stay at the club. The reports are coming out about that as well, and that's a decision Manchester United have also got to make. Who's going to be the captain. Obviously, we've got to make a decision what players are going to leave and what players are going to come in. But it's going to be really, really difficult now for us to attract players to that elite level. Obviously, because we're not going to be in a Champions League footballer for next season. But Paul Pogba, as I said, when going back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in his first 3 months, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 3 months, when he was the interim manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, everything was going right. The results were good, the performances were good. Solskjaer exceeded expectations. One of our most influential players in that period, of course, was Paul Pogba. He was playing very, very well indeed. But since Solskjaer's got the job, it just seems to have all gone wrong. We are in a bad vein of form. We've only won 2 of our last 10 games in all competitions. But Paul Pogba last year was heavily linked to a move to Barcelona. Barcelona. You know, I think his former club Juventus were linked to him last year. But Paul Pogba did get one of his best wishes. He got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho departed the club. Obviously, you know, Paul Pogba had a bad relationship with Jose Mourinho, but I just don't think he wants to be at Manchester United. But for me, it's going to be hard to find an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. It's going to be hard to find someone in Paul Pogba's level. But if we can get around £130 million for him, you know, I think it will help us with our transition. So I think Real Madrid are really, really keen on getting him. Reports came out the other day. Reports are coming out from Spain saying that allegedly he had agreed the personal terms. It did say he has agreed a £10 million a year deal with Real Madrid, and that's what it basically said. But Paul Pogba is still one of the best midfielders in world football, don't get me wrong. But Manchester United probably is not playing a monster world-class players. It's Pogba. We have got some news on Romelu Lukaku as well. I do want to give you guys an update on. Basically, I think he's suffered a hamstring injury as Romelu Lukaku. So there has been reports saying that he may not be able to play for the rest of the season. He won't be able to participate in his 2 remaining games. I've just heard about it now that Lukaku has reportedly suffered a hamstring injury. But for me, I think Lukaku is one of the likely players that's going to leave Manchester United this summer. Because, you know, Romelu Lukaku, as I said, he had a great first season with Manchester United. You know, he scored 27 goals in all competitions in his first season. But this season, he's enjoyed a very, very difficult second season with Manchester United. Because obviously, we know mainly Marcus Rashford, his first choice ahead of Romelu Lukaku. Romelu Lukaku is heavily linked with a move to Juventus and Inter Milan. I think it also said that AC Milan are interested in Lukaku. But I think from Lukaku's preference, he's interested in making a move to Italy. Because was it a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about, you know, it would be a dream for him, you know, to play in the Serie A. But Lukaku, for me, he's not good enough to play to the highest level, and his pedigree is very, very good in the Premier League. His goal scoring form is very, very good, but for me, he's not reliable enough. You know, he doesn't really get enough them runs in behind, you know, Romelu Lukaku, and he's just, quite frankly, you know, not reliable enough. And also his first touch concerns me. His finishing is very, very poor as well. So Manchester United, you know, paid around £75 million for him, plus 15 million in add-ons, so that raising it up to £90 million. He's still got 3 years left on his deal as Romelu Lukaku. I think he's on about £250,000 a week as well. But I think Lukaku himself is considering leaving the club this summer. So Man United will be probably looking to recoup the initial £75 million, you know, that were paid for him, and also, you know, try get a profit. But yeah, obviously if Lukaku leaves, obviously, you know, we're going to need a replacement for him, because the likes of Martial and Rashford, of course, aren't reliable enough at the moment, because obviously they're still in the process of graduating to that level. So we're going to need a striker, you know, to replace Lukaku if he leaves this summer. But reports did say if we can sell Pogba, if we can sell Lukaku, Manchester United could cash in around £200 million. So that will help us with our transition as well. So yeah, that's really, you know, your preview to give you an update on. So now we'll give you an update on some transfer rumours that's going on. There's been news coming out about Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now we definitely, you know, need a right back. You know, we need someone to replace Valencia. You know, we need an upgrade to Ashley Young. And, you know, Manchester United have been interested in Crystal Palace's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Recent reports have been coming out saying that I think now that Aaron Wan-Bissaka has insisted that he will be at Crystal Palace next season. So he's got no intentions of leaving Crystal Palace this summer, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So I think he's fully committed to Crystal Palace at the moment. Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, only 21 years of age, one of England's youngest upcoming talents. I think his defensive abilities are very, very impressive indeed. He has thrived under Roy Hodgson, but he only broke into the Crystal Palace first team last year, as I said, and I think he's made like 40 senior appearances for Crystal Palace. But he's available for a reasonable figure, and as I did say, maybe we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, you know, because there's quite a few players out there for a reasonable figure. There's quite a few players available for a reasonable figure, so maybe we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. Maybe we could get maybe 2 or 3 players for £100 million, or maybe, you know, just a bit more. But I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is valued at around 35 or 40 million. But maybe now we have missed out on getting Aaron Wan-Bissaka because he's got no intentions of leaving Crystal Palace. I still think Aaron Wan-Bissaka has got like 3 years left on his contract. But yeah, we definitely need to get someone young and ambitious on that right hand side. But there was a lot of talks going on the other week in the media, wasn't there, about Thomas Meunier, and I think, you know, maybe would it be beneficial if we got an experienced fullback in rather than a young fullback in, you know, because because Thomas Meunier is an experienced fullback. He's 27 years of age. I think he's quite tall as well. He's Thomas Meunier. Reports came out the other day saying that PSG were demanding that they wanted around 20 odd million pounds for him. So there you go. He's available for a reasonable figure. Obviously, he hasn't signed a new contract with PSG. I think he's got about 13, 14 months left on his current deal with Paris Saint-Germain. But Thomas Meunier is a very, very good player. You know, his defensive abilities are very, very good. I think he's predominantly a right back, but he can play in other positions as well, can Thomas Meunier. But yeah, you know, I think it did recently say that Arsenal and Chelsea have also been interested in him. He's 27 years of age. I think he's been at PSG a number of years now as Thomas Meunier. So I do think he'd be very, very good in our right back position as well. So we've definitely got to get a world class full back in, and that's without a shadow of a doubt indeed. So there has been talks about PSG's Thomas Meunier. You know, the reports coming out the other week about Tottenham's Kieran Trippier. So we're emphasising an interest in quite a few right backs as well. But we need someone to replace Antonio Valencia. As I did update you yesterday, obviously we do know Manchester United need a couple of additions in that midfield, of course, because as I said, it's looking like Pogba's going to be leaving. We know that Herrera's going to PSG on a free transfer this summer. So we are emphasising a couple of targets, you know, that could replace Pogba, that could replace Herrera. And, you know, we've been, reports were coming out, was it yesterday from the media, saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, and Manchester United want to wrap up deals for the Portuguese duo, Bruno Fernandes and João Felix. And it did say reportedly they could cost in the region of around £150 million. I've looked at some of the stats. You know, they are very, very good players. Indeed, it's good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is emphasising interest in quite a few young players, because we have got a lot of them. We've got a host of experienced players. So it will be beneficial, you know, to get some young upcoming talent to Manchester United. And let's start with Bruno Fernandes. Now, Bruno Fernandes, I think is predominantly an attacking midfielder. He's Bruno Fernandes. I do really, really like him. I think he's been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons now, and he can score goals. He can provide as well, you know, Bruno Fernandes. And you know, we need creativeness in that midfield. You know, someone that can pose a goal threat. And you know, Bruno Fernandes is capable of that. And I think he's got the ability to elevate Manchester United at least in the next 2 to 3 years. Maybe player Bruno Fernandes' calibre, you know, wants to be in Champions League football. But I did recently hear that I think some agents of top players, I think as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed, you know, have still been in touch with Manchester United as well. But Bruno Fernandes, I do really, really like him. I think he's got a release clause of around £90 million in his deal with Sporting Lisbon. I think he's got a contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023 as Bruno Fernandes. He's also a former Udinese player. He's also a former Sampdoria player. I think it said City and AC Milan are also interested in Bruno Fernandes. But reports came out the other day. Well, the reports have been coming out saying that reports have been sent from Portugal saying that Manchester United have been in negotiations with Bruno Fernandes' representatives over the summer transfer. So yeah, Manchester United linked to him, and we could see him as a replacement for Pogba. João Felix has been mentioned as well. I really, really like João Felix. You know, to be quite honest, he's had a good season this season with Benfica. You know, Manchester United scouts have been watching him on a regular basis. You know, based on his fantastic performances. I think he's reportedly got a buyout clause as João Felix of around £100 million. I think he's predominantly, as I said, an attacking midfielder, but he has been used as a winner. He's also been used as a striker, and I think he's also being used as a second striker as well. So he is versatile as João Felix. But I do really, really like him. You know, he can score goals, he can provide. He's only 19 years of age. You know, Felix, you know, he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. So I do think the likes of Bruno Fernandes and João Felix, you know, have got the capabilities, you know, to come to the Premier League, you know, replicate, you know, what they've been doing in Portugal. Because, you know, João Felix is only just, he only broke into the Benfica first team last year. I don't think he's yet, you know, made his senior debut for Portugal. But reports were saying that, you know, Bruno Fernandes and João Felix, you know, Manchester United want to complete the signings of both of them, and it could cost Manchester United around £150 million for the Portuguese duo. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is keen on recommending them in to come to Manchester United this summer. But reportedly, Manchester United are going to get around £250 million spending spree this summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has made it clear, you know, he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club. As I said, we are expected to orchestrate a big summer clear, and I think up to at least 5 or 6 players, you know, could be leaving Manchester United this summer. there could be at least 5 or 6 players, leaving Manchester United this summer. But obviously, we know the club are still looking to hire a director of football to come in. Obviously, we need one to come in, to change the structure of the club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to need backing this summer. And there has been quite a few candidate names, as you all know, that's been mentioned. We know there was talks the other day about Rio Ferdinand. He did say he could be set to return to the club as a sporting director. He said he was in negotiations with Ed Woodward about this, and it would be beneficial, to recommend someone to come in, who understands the club and all that. And do you think Rio Ferdinand, would be the right candidate? Paul Mitchell got mentioned a while back, who was the head of recruitment at RP Leipzig. We do know Edwin van der Sar's being mentioned, who was currently the CEO at Ajax. We do know Mike Phelan's being mentioned. Reports are coming out saying that he's in line to become our technical director. So we need this sorted out, before the start of next season. We've got to get a director of footballing, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to need backing. Solskjaer, obviously, wants to buy into our history as well. But, based on our bad vein of form, the majority of the blame is on the players. You've got to question the mentality of the players. They've also got to take responsibility. But some of the blame, does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because some of his tactics are questionable. Let's not forget, Solskjaer, and on this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He hasn't spent any money yet at Manchester United. We didn't spend out in January. We didn't get as priority targets last summer. We do know since Ferguson's retired, a hell of a lot of money's been invested at the club, about £600-700 million, something like that. We've had different managers with different philosophies, but none this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. And at this moment in time, I still believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can elevate this club forward. I still believe he can elevate this club forward, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even though he hasn't got a great managerial pedigree, hasn't really got the experience in terms of being a manager. He had it as a player, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but he hasn't really got it as a manager, and that's the thing that worries me. But we've just got to see, who we can bring in the summer. As I did say, we've got to get the right players that have got the ability to elevate Manchester United at least in the next 2 to 3 years. Obviously, we're about, let me say, we're at least 3 or 4 years off from being at competitive elite level football club, as we was under Alex Ferguson. I think at least for the next couple of seasons, top 4 is going to be our aspirations. But as I said, it's going to be extremely difficult for us to attract players to that elite level. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for us to attract players to that elite level. Obviously, we're not going to have any Champions League footballer to offer for next season. I do really, really like Jadon Sancho, as you all do currently know. Manchester United have been heavily linked with him, and it would be good for the player if he's quality, to come to Manchester United. Jadon Sancho, he's got immense talent. He's only 19 years of age. He's Sancho, he's one of England's youngest upcoming talents as well. Is Jadon Sancho, and I really, really like him. And I think there has been a lot of talks going on about this now for at least the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, something like that. And I still think he's the club's number 1 priority target. Is Jadon Sancho. But I think if he was, to make a return to the Premier League, I think he'd create a better. I think he'd create a platform, better for himself. I think it'd be a better platform for him, to be quite honest, because he has been in the Premier League before. He did serve a couple of years with Manchester City, before he went to Borussia Dortmund as well. But I do really, really like him. I admire him. He's a really, really good player, and we need someone that can play between the bylines, and put crosses into the box. And I think if he made the return back to the Premier League, he'd create a better platform for him, of course. But he's done really, really well in his couple of years in Germany. With Borussia Dortmund, he's developing fantastically well. We do know he's going to cost the club around at least £100 million this summer. Is Jadon Sancho, but we have got the financial power, to meet his valuation. But the thing is, it's going to be. I know players in Jadon Sancho's calibre, wants to be in Champions League football, and obviously, Manchester United can't offer that next season. But it doesn't mean, we can't still get him this summer. But I really, really like Sancho. I think he'd link up very, very well alongside Martial and Rashford and all that. So I still think is the club's number 1 priority target. But other midfielders Manchester United have been interested in as well. There has been talks going on about that Tango Ndombele from Lyon, and I do really, really like him and what I've seen of him. He's 22 years of age. He's Tango Ndombele. I think Lyon only got him permanently last summer. Was it for around £8 million or something? Well, I think it was just over £7 million. Sorry, because initially before that he was on loan with Lyon for 1 season. I think it did say the likes of my club United have been interested in him. It did say City have been interested in him. It did say City were preparing to put around the £60 million bidding for him. I think he's valued at around £70 million in Ndombele. He's got a contract with Lyon till 2023. But yeah, I think he's a defensive midfielder. I think he can also play as a central midfielder as well. So we'd actually see him more as a replacement for Ander Herrera if we've got any chances of getting him this summer. I think the Lyon president did confirm Manchester United's interest and Man City's interest, but from his own preference, Everton's reportedly he'd rather sell Tanguy Ndombele offer to Juventus, but he's only 22 years of age and he has got a lot of years ahead of him, and you know, players at that elite level, it's going to be hard for us to attract him because obviously, you know, we've got no Champions League footballer for next season. But do you think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield, you know, Tanguy Ndombele, you know, if he was to come in? There also has been a lot of talks about Declan Rice as well from West Ham, and Declan Rice is available for a reasonable figure. I think he's valued at around 40-50 million pounds. Is Declan Rice? He's only 20 years of age. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents. Is Declan Rice, and I do really, really like Declan Rice, and you know, he can break up the play. You know, he's growing, developing, and flourishing fantastically well. You know, he's been fantastic under Manuel Pellegrini this season as Declan Rice, and I think he's been in the West Ham senior squad quite a few years. But I think West Ham would demand that they want around 50 million pounds for him this summer if they are willing to do any business, and we could eye him as an ideal replacement for Nemanja Matic. He's only 20 years of age. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him as Declan Rice. He's got a contract with West Ham till 2024. What he signed back in, was it December of last year, you know, based on his fantastic performances. So Manchester United have been linked to him, and he is one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's prime targets, is Declan Rice. But he can break up the play, can press opponents, his distribution's very, very good, his passing ability is very, very good. So do you think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield if he was to come in? And I think Man United will be, you know, would be willing, you know, to pay around 50 million pounds for Declan Rice. So he's been mentioned as well. You know, there's still been talks about Everton's Idrissa Gueye. You know, we could see him as a replacement for Ander Herrera as well. Idrissa Gueye is actually the same age as Ander Herrera, but if you look at it, combining them together, you know, Ander Herrera's had obviously, you know, better of the career, you know, than Idrissa Gueye, but Idrissa Gueye, you know, is still well Premier League proven. You know, his performances have been very, very good for Everton. You know, he's been at Everton a number of years now as Idrissa Gueye. I think Idrissa Gueye got a contract back in February of last year with them until, I think he got his contract, extended in February of last year till 2022 based on his fantastic performances. And he's a defensive midfielder. He is highly experienced because he is 29 years of age. He's a Senegal international, but he's good at tackling. He's good at pressing opponents. You know, he can break up the play. He's a good energetic midfielder as Idrissa Gueye. Reports were coming out saying that he could be available for a reasonable figure this summer. You know, he could be available for around just under £13 million. But he is well Premier League proven. As I said, he's been at Everton a number of years now. He's a former Villa player where I think he only spent one season. He also played for Lille when he was a lot younger as well. So he's been mentioned in the media. Man United could identify him as a replacement for Ander Herrera. So there has been talks of Idrissa Gueye. Obviously, the majority of his appearances in the Premier League, you know, have obviously, you know, become at Everton as well. But yeah, he's a pretty decent player, you know, of what I've seen of him. You know, PSG were linked to him back in January, but PSG obviously, you know, couldn't come to an agreement because Everton, I think, turned a couple of bids down from PSG as well. So we have been interested in Idrissa Gueye. We need a central defender, you know, someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, because potentially, as I did say, the likes of Smalling and Phil Jones are potentially, you know, not good enough. But yeah, we need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof. You know, we haven't had a world-class central defender, you know, since we had the likes of Vidic and Ferdinand, who were a fantastic partnership, you know, back in under Alex Ferguson era. You know, Ferdinand and Vidic, you know, were a fantastic partnership. But we need someone, you know, that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. We still know the rumours still continue to persist about Koulibaly as well from Napoli. You know, we still got a possible chance of getting Koulibaly. You know, even though we're not going to offer any Champions League footballer for next season, there is still a chance, you know, we can get Koulibaly, and I do really, really like him. He's nearly 28 years of age now, but do you think he'd be able to? I think, you know, what he's been doing in Italy, you know, these number of years with Napoli, I think if he came to the Premier League to experience the Premier League, I think he'd be able to produce and deliver the same level of performances, you know, that he has been doing in these number of years with Italy, you know, with Napoli. He has made over 200 appearances for Napoli in all competitions as Koulibaly. We do potentially know he's going to cost us a world record fee, so potentially he's going to cost Manchester United at least around £110 million or something like that. He recently signed a new contract with Napoli as well until 2023. He recently signed this new long-term contract not too long ago. Manchester United were linked to him back in January. We had 3 bids turned down for him in January. We were linked to him last summer, but we couldn't come to an agreement to get him. So I don't know if we'll get him or not. Whether we'll get him or not, I do not know. But he would address our defensive deficiencies, you know, fantastically well, and he blend in very, very well alongside Victor Lindelof. For my own own preference, I don't really see us getting him. I think he just feels happy in Italy, with Napoli. And obviously, a player of Koulibaly's calibre wants to be in Champions League football, so this could go against us. But, there's other defenders, we've been monitoring and interested in. If you look at Toby Alderweireld from Tottenham, he's a much cheaper alternative than Koulibaly. And I know he's nowhere near as good or on the same level as Koulibaly, but, he's available for £25 million this summer. And I think Toby Alderweireld, would be a good upgrade of what we've currently got in defence, because for me, Alderweireld is well Premier League proven. I think he'd be a great leader in our back line. He is 30 years of age now, so he is aging up, and you do know I have got reservations about Alderweireld because he has lost that yard of pace, but he has grown, developed and flourished fantastically well. He's been at Tottenham a number of years now. I think he's made over over 150 appearances for Tottenham in all competitions as Alderweireld. Manchester United were linked to him last summer, but we couldn't come to an agreement to get him. But blatantly, I don't think he wants to be at Tottenham, because obviously he's refused to sign a contract with them. That's why Tottenham activated a 12-month extension and included this 25 million release clause. But I still think he'd be, pretty decent in our back line, if he was to come in. But he's a much cheaper alternative to the likes of the Koulibalys or the Rafael Varans as well. So yeah, Manchester United have been linked with Alderweireld. Marcus Rojo, he's going to be leaving in the summer, I should presume. Well, I want him to leave this summer. Not good enough for Manchester United. I think he comes to an end of his contract soon as well, doesn't he? Marcus Rojo. But he hasn't really had the chance at Manchester United, and he has sustained, quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. So I can see him leaving. Matteo Darmian is another player I can see leaving the club as well, because Matteo Darmian, I think Manchester United have actually triggered that extension, so if we can get rid of him this summer, we can cash in for him. But Darmian's enjoyed a very, very difficult time. He hasn't really had the opportunity, and I think Inter Milan are linked to him, and I think if he is to leave this summer, he will make a return back to Italy, will Matteo Darmian. This is now his 4th season at the club. He's just recently recovered from a long-term absence as Matteo Darmian, so yeah, I can see Darmian leaving as well. Alexis Sanchez now, it's going to be difficult for us to get rid of him in the summer, unless, Sanchez is willing to take some kind of wage cut, or we can loan him out, or unless Manchester United, are willing to pay half of his wages, to sanction him off. Sanchez, for me, has been very, very inconsistent as a Manchester United player. And of course, let's be honest, Sanchez has got no future at the club. He's been here about 15, 16 months now. He's age 30. He has lost that yard of pace, but when he has played, he just looks so restricted, just looks as though he hasn't been getting that freedom. He hasn't settled in as a Manchester United player, and he's age 30, so potentially he hasn't got no future at the club. He's just recently recovered from a knee injury as well as Alexis Sanchez. So yeah, he's got to take some kind of wage cut, unless there's a team or two out there that can afford to pay Sanchez's wages off as well. So yeah, we are expected, to orchestrate a big summer clear out. I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I still think he's the right man at the moment for Manchester United. We've got to give him the chance, give him the chance to rebuild in the summer, and we've got to be ruthless in this summer transfer window, without a shadow of a doubt. But I think, if we do get players in the summer, I still think, we're at least 2 or 3 years, I think we're still at least 2 years off, from being up there, challenging, or 3 years off, because I think in the next couple of seasons our aspirations are going to be top 4, because we're at least 2 years off, from graduating to Manchester City's level, Liverpool's level as well. But yeah, going into this Huddersfield game, as I said, actually, we lost the game last season at Huddersfield, didn't we, in the league? Wasn't it 2-1 to Huddersfield? We did win it. I think we beat them in the FA Cup last season at Huddersfield by 2-0. It was 3-1 at Old Trafford earlier on the season. So this is a game Manchester United should win, but we've basically got nothing to play for. We're basically playing for pride, because we've got nothing to play for, because we're not going to get top 4. There's no silverware to go for, so basically we are playing for pride, and this is our chance now to give the youngsters an opportunity. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribing to the channel, as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.